So I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 4. Is this a letter you sent to Mr. Jalil on June 1st, 2011? Actually, or faxed over actually on 11:30 at night?
Yes, it is.
In this letter, most notably, the last third paragraph, it says, "Every attempt you have made to damage me or get me in trouble has failed. You're a loser."
Yes, sir. What about it?
Think he's a loser?
Pardon me?
Do you think he's a loser?
His attempts certainly have been.
Next week, my attorney will be dealing with your bogus memorandum to the federal court. After that, you may want to start thinking about hiring an attorney of your own to defend you. You're going to need one. Hey, I got a good idea. Why don't you contact Carlos Cabrera again and ask him how much he could charge for representation? Maybe he'll give you a deal. You making a joke with that?
Yes.
Why is that?
Very ironic joke.
Why is that?
Well, because he's the one that twice contacted Carlos Cabrera in his tortious interference actions, trying to sabotage our case.
Just make sure to complain about this letter to all the law enforcement agencies that you have already contacted about me in the past. I'm sure they would just love to hear from you again. Exclamation point.
Yes.
You sent him this to him approximately 3 days before you signed your petition for injunction of repeat violence, correct?
Apparently.
Sounds like a guy who's afraid of somebody.
Pardon me?
Sounds like a guy who's afraid of somebody writing a letter like this.
Everybody shows fear in different ways, Counselor.
You think this is a little antagonistic?
I think what your client has been doing to me for the past year is antagonistic. What's your point?
I mean, if you're afraid of somebody, should you be sending them faxes at 11:30 at night?
Well, if he's going to do something, he's going to do it whether I send him a fax or not. And as far as the time frame goes, it's not like his fax machine is next to his bed and I'm waking him up.
But for a guy you don't want to have any contact with, you sure write him a lot of letters 4 days before you file your petition.
Yeah, I would also note that this was sent just before I got one of the death threats from him. About 5 days.
Is your goal to damage Mr. Jalil's private investigative license?
My goal is to put a stop to his one-man terrorist campaign and to ensure my own safety and well-being.
Do you want to damage his reputation?
Mr. Jalil's already done that quite well himself.
By your claims of him making allegations against you?
By his filing of unconfirmed, unverified information, which he then had to retract.
When you said earlier you're looking to punish Mr. Jalil, are you looking to get him to spend money on attorneys?
I didn't say anything about I'm looking to punish him. When did I say that?
One of your things you're talking about, you want to see him, his conduct won't go unpunished.
Oh, his conduct won't go unpunished. Oh, that was in reference to his licenses.
Are you looking to punish him?
I'm looking to get his licenses revoked. He's abusing the authority and the privilege that comes with his private investigation licenses. He uses them to obtain personal information against people, and then he uses that information as a weapon. Then he files complaints, and he gives himself credibility by using the name of this private investigation agency, even though his agency has absolutely nothing to do with it. This was his little agenda. Remember, he wasn't working on a legitimate case.
Have you ever called Jalil a degenerate?
Yes, I have.
Have you called him a loser?
Yes, I have.
Have you called him an interloper?
Yes, I have, many times.
Have you called him any other names?
I don't recall, but I probably have.
Has he ever called you any names?
I don't recall. Yes, as a matter of fact, he did.
What?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he
What
did.
names has he called you?
I don't know if we want to put that on the record or not.
I'm signing your petition, so I'm just...
Spell it, don't say it.
A-hole, only the whole word.
Anything else?
Don't recall offhand. Possibly.
What do you mean by he's done a one-man terrorist campaign against you?
Your client had one acceptable and legally allowed avenue of dispute in the landlord-tenant disagreement over the security deposit, and that was to file claim in small claims court. It should be noted that for everything else he has done, all the complaints he has filed, all his memorandums, all his emails, all his letters, everything. The one and only thing that he didn't do was the one thing that he was legally allowed to do, despite several statements from him stating that he was in fact going to file a small claims case. He never did. Instead, he just launched his little one-man terrorist campaign of slander, defamation, stalking, harassment, and tortious interference. Does that pretty much explain it?
It's your answer, sir.
Yes, it is.
Have you had to make any, have you had any code violations at your Gerona Avenue property?
Nothing,
Last 12 months?
nothing that hasn't been taken care of, and nothing to what, in regards to what he claimed.
What repairs have you had to make?
I had to cap an outside pole that had some dead electrical wires exposed in the top.
Did that cost you money?
Not really, no. Maybe a few cents for a couple of wire caps.
Have you gotten any fines from the codes?
No, I haven't.
Do you report your rental income to the Internal Revenue Service?
Yes, I do.
How many tenants have you had in the last 5 years at that residence?
Well, there's been quite a few, unfortunately. In that part of the state, good quality tenants are very hard to come by. Well, let's see, your client investigated and determined that there were 4 previous tenants before him. So I guess that's probably about right. Most of the tenants didn't last out the full year's lease.
Is it your custom to retain the deposits after a lease is over?
It's my custom to inspect the house and determine whether or not I'm going to return their deposit based on the damage that I detect.
And how many of those deposits have you returned in the last 5 years?
2.
2 out of approximately how many?
5.
Total deposit or just partial?
Total. Linda Haste, one of the subjects, one of the uninvolved third-party subjects that your client unlawfully investigated. And I forget who the other one was. I don't remember his name, but I gave him back his deposit too, because when he left the property, it was okay.
Have you requested any governmental agency to start an investigation regarding Brian Stewart regarding the water bill at 1102 Gerona Avenue?
I request an investigation. I informed the City of Deltona Water Department, well actually they contacted me and was going to charge me for the stolen water until I provided them with a copy of Mr. Stewart's lease and a statement explaining that Mr. Stewart had in fact turned the water on from the meter without having a valid account established.
When's the last time you talked to Mr. Stewart?
Probably just before, let me see, no, that would have been in, let's see, he took off, I believe, at the beginning of March. Probably either the end of February or the very beginning of March was the last phone conversation that I had with him.
What was that again? What was it? Here you go. What did you say? March of
this year.
this year.
Mm-hmm.
On or about July 4th of 2011, did anyone call Jaleel to ask about his whereabouts to determine his location on your behalf? Have you had anyone contact Mr. Jaleel?
Have I had anyone contact Mr. Gill? No. If I'm going to do something like that, I do it myself.
You haven't tried to contact him since you sent him these letters right before you filed a petition?
On July 4th?
Yes.
July 4th, I was working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get access to Mr. Jaleel's cell phone?
Why would I need to do that? I have the number.
Is that a yes or no?
Just give me a description. Be a little more definitive.
Have you ever tried to get access to his voicemails?
Are you saying, have I ever called his number?
Have you ever tried to get access to his voicemails? Whatever voicemails are left on his cell phone? Not if you ever called him and left him a voicemail. Have you ever tried to access any voicemails that were left by other people other than you?
How would I do that?
just asking, it's a yes or no answer, sir.
No, of course not. Oh, you mean hack into his system or something like that? Is that?
I'm just asking if you've ever tried, yeah.
I'm trying to make
sure
sure that I
have you ever tried to
understand
hack into his emails, voicemails, and try to get access to any voicemails left on his cell phone by third parties?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't even know how to begin doing that.
Is there any other allegations that you have not discussed today which will support your petition for injunction against repeat violence from my client?
I would have to think about that a little bit before I answered.
As we sit here today, do you know anything else?
What was the question again now?
As we sit here today, are there any other allegations that you know of which you will be relying upon to support your petition for injunction against repeat violence?
And you mean besides everything we've already discussed?
Yes.
At the moment, I cannot think of any. At the moment. But then again, I don't have any documents in front of me except what you've given us.
Let's take a quick break. Glenn, I'm going to call you back real quick, okay?